What is up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Vibe here, host and co-host and co-producer of the Morning Vibe here. But I am host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020, Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And part of that collaboration last year reached out to over 100,000 fathers around the world, directly and indirectly. And always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. So we're going to kick it off today, just saying Ryan will not be with us today because there is a strike with school workers in Ontario today. So he has to stay at home, take care of the kids. So that's why Ryan will not be with us today, but he'll be back with us on Monday. And speaking of Monday, we have some special programming coming up next week. So just to give you a little bit of a little advanced preview, got to show you something. Here we go.
Why is a restaurant week your favorite time of the year?
That is right. By Blacks Restaurant Week 2022 Fall Edition is happening next week, and we will be featuring some of the restaurants participating in the Restaurant Week next week during our Monday and Friday shows. So if you want to find out more information about By Blacks Restaurant Week Fall Edition, there is the link right then and there. So that is out of the way. It is the first Friday of a new month. And if you don't know, or if you do know, we're bringing back one of our most popular friends on the Morning Vibe. We got Wayne Harris coming back with us. So welcome back to Wayne Harris. First Friday. How you doing, Wayne?
Doing fantastic, Dr. Vibe. How are you doing?
Outstanding, blessed, highly favored, magnet for miracles, solution for someone's problem, and Blackalicious.
That's why I always ask.
Well, I want people to ask because for me, most importantly, I'm saying it to myself. I've got to be my own. I'm either going to be my best friend or my worst enemy. And a lot of people like hearing that. It adds light to their life. And you and I, we love to bring light to people's lives. So I think even by what we say and what we do, even the small things, we can bring the light to people's lives.
I agree 110%. You have to be your own biggest fan. And daily affirmations are what the best of the best do to ensure that they're reminding their subconscious mind that they're on track for what it is they say they want to accomplish in this thing called life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask what's been going on since we last had you on the show.
Well, brother, I've been to California, went to Northern California, San Francisco, and Monterey, was there for a conference to learn some things about how to put families in a better position. And I'm bringing back the heat from the hot California to the Dr. Vibe show, so you guys are on point to receive some of that information. And one of the things we talked about was budgeting.
Here we go. We got a good time to talk about budgeting with interest rates continuing to go up and costs going up.
Well, I can tell you that it's almost apropos that today is a day where none of the teachers are showing up and all the families have to scramble to find care for their kids. And
Right.
one of the things that you need to have is an emergency fund for just such occasions. We're going to talk about that today. I'm not for or against what the government and the teachers are doing. I can tell you that it's tough to live in the most expensive city in the country, Toronto. And if you're going to be a teacher here and you know that the government is, how shall I put it gently, not your biggest fan as it relates to what you do for the children. They say so, but then in action, the things are not there for all the supporting and ancillary staff. Maybe the teachers get taken care of, but maybe the supporting staff to support the teachers aren't getting paid what teachers are being paid and don't have the same contract. And that's why we are where we are today. But a couple of months ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, people voted Doug Ford in with a vast majority. So they liked what he was doing. Well, how you like me now?
Who did that song? How You Like Me Now?
I
Back
think
in
I, I think it was Kumo D.
yes, yes,
showing,
yes,
showing,
yes,
showing my age. I'm showing my age. Kumo D.
yes. Yeah, I remember that. How You Like Me Now, now, now.
Exactly. I think Doug Ford is playing that in his car on his way to Queens Park today, and we'll see how it shakes out. I hope families have what they need to survive and thrive in these tough times. These tough times are going to be here for a little bit longer, so we really need to buckle down. The fact that we're coming out of COVID for the last 2 years, we saw a little bit of daylight with the lockdowns being over, and now this group of Ontarians is in this pickle. It's got to be tough on the psyche and the budgets of people. So let me just get into what a budget is and what it isn't, and what you can do to put yourself in position to prepare. Like Big Brother would say, expect the unexpected. And we didn't expect COVID, and we didn't expect this strike, and we didn't expect the government to just say, no, we know cost of livings are out of control, but we're not going to give you anything to supplement it. And we have the opportunity to do it. Considering I received a check, and I'm not complaining, I received a rebate on my sticker for my driver's license. So when you think about the sticker for the driver's license, I appreciate getting my money back and not having to pay going forward, but maybe that money might have been used to take care of what we're dealing with today. Just saying, might be a different bucket. I'm not an expert on provincial economics, but there was obviously some money there and a surplus for the province of Ontario, and we're reading about that now. So let's get into it. I want you to think about, Dr. Vine, when you were a kid, and first of all, as a West Indian child, did you receive allowance?
No.
No, right? Your allowance was you got to live in the house for free.
That's my was
Right?
allowance. Absolutely.
And you did chores, right?
Oh yes.
Right. Did you have a paper route?
Actually, I did have a paper route, but when I was younger and did have hair, I actually had magazines. I used to deliver magazines to
Okay.
houses.
Right. So I got my first gig when I was 8 years old, delivering the Montreal Star. Shout out to the Montreal Star, now defunct. And then I started delivering the Gazette, and the Gazette people wanted it in their hand before 7 a.m., which means I had to wake up really early, and I had a route that went uphill. So I was making money from the time I was about 8 years old, and I knew that when I had that money, if I wanted anything above and beyond what my parents were going to supply, which was basic clothing, underwear, shoes, socks, winter coat. If you wanted anything else fancy, you had to go do it yourself. If people can relate to that, they can shout out in the chat. If they can't relate to that and they were part of the allowance crowd, if you received your allowance, $10, $20, or whatever you received a week or a month, you knew that you couldn't go to McDonald's or go to the corner store every day for candy or a pop. You had to budget that money and meter that money so it would last you the whole month. Or if you had to pay for your lunch at school because you forgot to bring it, you knew you had to have enough money from your allowance to cover the cost of that cafeteria food, usually a slice of pizza or chicken fingers and a milk or a juice, and you had to use that at that time. Now, back in the day, if your school happened to be close to a Max Milk, you go to Max Milk and save a few dollars and get that done, right? So budgeting is really simply cash flow. What's coming in, what's going out on a monthly basis. And most people don't track it. So I'm going to ask you, Dr. Vibe, because you're always my first, patient zero. Do you live your life by a budget?
Yes, I do. I actually have a spreadsheet that I update weekly or bi-weekly of all my expenses, all my incomes. So I do that on a regular basis. That's one of the reasons I asked for a receipt. I actually asked for a physical receipt so I can manually put it in, so I know from head to hand where that money's either coming in or going out.
Fantastic. And you've been doing that for how long?
Oh, about 7-8 years. Like, I use a Google Sheets to do it.
Right.
But I do it on regular, and also for my business, I use QuickBooks.
Fantastic. QuickBooks is probably the de facto standard for all small businesses, and accountants love it because they can ingest your inputs without having to do any crazy stuff with the files. Fantastic. So how does it make you feel knowing what's coming in and what's going out on a weekly basis, and whether you're winning or losing the battle?
Well, it makes me feel that it tells me whether I'm winning or losing the battle. So I don't have to guess. I know how much is in my account. Like my dad is even more, like he taught me all. He's even more diligent. Like he knows, like he checks his finances on a regular basis. Like even yesterday, he gave me a check to cash on my account. Can you do this as much soon as possible? I like to keep a track of my finances.
Okay. I like it.
He's on it. He's on it.
So budgeting really is about giving us a real-time tail of the tape. So you think about boxing. Boxing has a tail of the tape. How tall the fighter is, how much the fighter weighs, what's their reach, right? Arm length, and so on and so forth. Budgeting is the same thing. It's going to let you know how far your money is going to reach on any given month. And your goal, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to have more money than month. You want to have more money than month, because the people who have more month than money are starving. They can't feed themselves. They can't heat themselves. They can't put gas in the car, and they can't take care of their children because they have more month than money. And that is really food and life insecurity. And we don't want to be there if we can avoid it. So being a member of the GTA and being in the most expensive place to live in Canada, a budget has become paramount to people's survival. So let's talk about the 5 steps of a budget. First, what monthly income do you have after taxes? What you make is great, but what you make before taxes is really only for your ego. It's what comes into your bank account every week, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly that comes into your account that you can really work with. So you have to look at things like taxes that are looking to come out of your account. You're looking at Canada pension plan that's coming out of your account. You're looking at employment insurance that's coming out of your account. And you're looking at some people have to pay for their benefits, at least a portion of it, that's coming out of the account. Then some people have group RRSPs, and that's coming out of the account. When the dust has settled, what do you have coming in after you've been paid? That's how much we have to work with. If you're an hourly employee, take a look at the number of hours you work per week over the course of a month, average it out, and then look at what's going in your account on average. And that's what we're going to work with for an hourly employee. So even if you make $15 an hour or $20 an hour, $25 an hour, some of you are making $50 an hour and $100 an hour, you're still getting paid hourly. So it's not a steady, periodic infusion of cash. So number one, what do you actually have to work with? And again, some people will notice that their paychecks are smaller in the first 4 to 6 months of the year, and then the paychecks almost bump up. And what happens there is, if you're a T4 employee, is you're paying into CPP and EI, and once you max out those payments, they stop taking the money, and you're good for the rest of the year. Your pay will increase because you're no longer paying into those programs. Here's what I learned the hard way. When you change companies during the year, they forget you paid into all those programs and they start the CPP and EI from scratch again.
You're kidding.
Ask me how I know.
Please, how did you find that out?
I found that out when I changed jobs mid-year.
Wow.
I go, what's CPP and EI coming off for? I paid all that in full at my last company. No, they go, no. Anytime you change companies during the year, you pay CPP and EI again. Ask anybody to chat in the chat if this happened to them.
Wade, so let me ask you, what do you think of that as a policy? Do you think that's fair, or is that something that should be changed?
It's a great question. I would say that every company has its own fiduciary duty to the government, and they don't know what you did and what you didn't do before you got there. So in order to protect themselves from CRA, they say, we're going to take it, and the government will rebate you and credit you at the back of the year if they want to, but we don't know what you did before you got here, and we said, welcome aboard, so we're going to take everything business as usual. It's more of a protection for themselves than it is looking out for our net cash flow. So that would be my answer for that.
Okay.
I can't, as much as I want to be vexed, guy, I can't be vexed that they're doing it because they're doing it because they have so many employees coming and going, and they can't be tracking for what the last guy or girl did.
Yeah.
Okay? Number two, I want you to ID what are your fixed costs. These are costs that are coming in every month, no matter what. So what are some fixed costs? Your rent, your mortgage.
If you're living in a house, hydro.
No, hydro's variable.
That's true.
Fixed cost.
I thought of it fixed as a different way. It's always going to be there, but it's going to be variable. So my correction.
Yeah, fixed is always going to be the same payment every month. So if you are paying an installment loan, you went to one of these furniture stores and it's don't pay a cent event, and now they say you have to pay X every month, installment loan, then those installments have to be the same amount every month. You can't negotiate the installment. It's $200 a month. It's $200 a month. So you want to look at all your fixed costs. These have got to be taken care of. This is your shelter, usually. This is your transportation, usually. So those two things are must-dos. Fixed costs, mandatory. Then there's variable cost or discretionary. This is where you can have a little bit of dial up or dial down of the expense. So food, right? Eating out, skip the dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Oxtail Fridays, Pizza Saturdays, Roti Sundays, right? These are variable costs that you can control and you can buy or not buy. You can be involved in these things or not involved in these things. In hydro, you can keep your house at 25 degrees or you can keep it at 21 degrees. It's variable, right? How much water do you use? Do you irrigate your lawn for 4 hours or do you irrigate your lawn once every 2 weeks? Some people have brown grass. Some people have the greenest grass on the block. Depends. Water is variable. So what are your variable costs? I want you to think about the fixed costs that people have added to their life that 10 years ago didn't exist. Maybe 20 years ago. What's a fixed cost? Netflix is now a fixed cost. Right? People want their Netflix. Fixed cost. You got to pay every month. Amazon Prime is now a fixed cost. Right? Disney Plus is now a fixed cost. Right? Cable is a fixed cost for some people. Home phone is a fixed cost. Mobile phone is a fixed cost.
Yeah.
So you're adding these things that you must pay every month. Food is variable. Hydro's variable. Gas is variable. If you drive, you will use more gas. If you don't drive, you'd use less gas. But auto insurance is fixed.
Yes.
Home insurance is fixed. Life insurance is fixed. RSP contributions, variable. Because you could say, I want to put $300 a month or $400 into it, but if you do not have it, you can stop it. The other ones are trained. Once they've left the station, they continue leaving the station every month, and you can't stop them. Now you can go to Rogers and say, Rogers, I'm not saying you're teething, but some people have said you're teething, and I would like you to reduce my plan. How do you do that? Well, if you call the first person on the line, the most they can do for you is maybe $50. But there's a little group of people at all cell phone companies, which is the line of last resort.
Loyalty and
Customer
retention.
Retention, right.
Yep. Back in my days at TELUS, I worked on that team, so I know what that is.
So tell me about what you would do for people if they got to you, if they're patient enough and they waited on hold long enough and they finally got to you. What did you have the mandate to be able to do for them?
Well, we could look at the account and, probably go a little bit deeper and giving a deeper savings than what they got from their first agent, because there's something in the industry called churn, right? And so people who may or may not know about telecommunications companies, they don't want to lose clients. They want to retain as many clients as they can, because churn means lost revenue. So a lot of times the loyalty or retention will have a lot more flexibility on what they can do than the first agent you speak with.
Exactly. So I want people to look at what they consider to be fixed costs and say, do I really need Disney Plus? Or do I only need Disney Plus when my show is fully uploaded? So when my show is fully uploaded, so let's say it's Mandalorian, and you want Mandalorian, you heard a new season's coming up. I buy Disney Plus and I binge Mandalorian, and then bun that, get it out of there. Get it out of there, Dr. Vibe, and be done with it. If there's a show on Netflix you want to watch, get onto Netflix. Binge your show, then get out of there. There's actually a new Netflix now that is $5.99, I believe, but it has commercials.
It has ads
right.
with it.
And I'm going to consider it. Right, I'm going to try it and see, because if I can get the shows I want, I don't want. There's so much on Netflix, I don't have time. But if my shows that I want and what my kids want and what my wife wants are on that $5.99 platform, bro, I'm out with the $20. I'm going to save me $14-15 a month.
Yeah, many years ago, I cut the cord and we use Android box.
Exactly.
Right? Like for the price that we pay for 3 Android boxes,
right,
yearly.
Yes,
we would get charged for 3 months of service from any of the other providers. I don't want to
correct
put anyone on blast, but yes,
exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. So I want you to not only look at everything that's going out, what's coming in and what's going out. I want you to inspect every line of what's going out to see if you can optimize those expenses. Now, thanks to Justin Trudeau, we have what was an illicit substance is now legal. It is called cannabis, and cannabis is a leisure activity, sometimes a medical activity for some people. If it's medical, fixed cost. If it's leisure, variable cost. And if it's variable and you're getting it from your supplier, then do you need as much if it's leisure? If it's medical, you have your prescription, do what you need to do for yourself. But if it's leisure, it moves out of the fixed cost bucket and into the variable cost bucket. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'll save it to after you go through all the 5. I was going to make a comment, but I'm going to wait for you to go through the rest of the 5.
Okay, perfecto. Next, we want to look at number 3, savings and debt payoff. If you're going to pay all the people you owe money to on a monthly basis, you've always heard it from books like The Wealthy Barber, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and everything else that's out there. You must pay yourself first. So I hear you that you're going to pay off your telecom provider. I hear you're going to pay off your mobile phone provider. I hear you're going to pay off your car, but you need to pay yourself, because the power of compounding cannot be recovered. You have to have this money in play for the money to work for you. So you've got to save at least 10%. I met a guy in California last week. He's saving 95% of his income. He's living on 5% of his income.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Talk about discipline.
Listen, it's because it's a percentage, right? 5% of his income is over $1 million.
Well, there you go.
Okay? It's about percentage.
Sure.
So it's very impressive. And I said, how much do you make, bro? Oh, Right. Yeah, I could probably live on 5% of the $1 million as well.
Absolutely.
But he's banking his money, right? Compounding it. So what are your short-term goals, right? Do you want to go on vacation? Some people want to go to Carnival in Trinidad in February. Carnival's back for the first time, I think, in 3 years. So people want to go in February. It's going to be legit in February 2023 for Carnival in Trinidad. I saw the pictures of Carnival in Miami. If Trinidad is going to be huge in February, so people are saving money for that, right? People want to travel. They've been locked down for years. Let me tell you, my experience going to Maui in May and spending 6 hours in Pearson to get out versus my experience to go to San Francisco last week, where I spent 20 minutes in Pearson to get out. Travel is back to normal. It's amazing. We got to Pearson. We're like 2 hours ahead. It's dark outside. We rolled in. We had no checked luggage, and they said, "Yeah, take your boarding pass and go to security." We went to security. The line was maybe 100 people. It moved like water. Went to U.S. Customs. Walked straight up to the guy. Nobody in front of us. Vibe. I was shocked.
I know.
The guy says, "Where are you going, San Francisco? What are you going for?" "Training." He goes, "Have a good time." And I was out. And then we were inside there at the Tim Hortons, sitting in the lounge with time to spare. It was unbelievable. Yeah. So what are you saving for short term? You want to travel? You need a car? Do you have an emergency fund? Because people have to think about this. If you don't have an emergency fund and something goes wrong, you're going straight to your savings to pull that money out. We do not want you going to your long-term savings for that money. You have a transmission blow, an engine blow, a tire gets a flat, a roof starts to leak, a water tank bursts. You want to have the cash readily available. So I'm going to talk to you about that. And then long-term goals. When do you want to retire? When's your mortgage going to be done? Can you fast track that? Do you want to fast track that? I think people want to fast track it now. Back when it was 1%, 1.5%, people were like, let it ride, baby. Let it ride. I got better things to do with that money where I can get a better return. But now your mortgages are coming in at 4, 5, 6% for some people, depending on their credit. Now they want to get rid of this bad boy. So what are you doing long term? Next, you have to record your spending. And you want to do it on a weekly basis. Because you know what? What used to get me, I used to work downtown, and there would be bay days. Bay day, oh my God. Bay day and sidewalk sales. You work in the path, right? You're in the path and you're in the underground. And they got all the tables out. And
all the racks, all the tables.
Right. And here I am, looking for my size 13 shoes. And I see the size 13 shoes that I do not need, Dr. Vibe. But the price is right. And I'm not growing, size 13, size 13. So I know I'm going to need those pairs of shoes at some time in my life.
Same here.
And these bay days and these sidewalk sales would just see me like a moth to the flame, and it was over for me. I come home with bags trying to hide them from my wife, and she's like, "What's that? What'd you get me?" Right?
I think your wife and my wife are twin daughters of different mothers.
Exactly. Because there's a certain way the car door closes when you know you're guilty of buying stuff you don't need. And she can hear this. Bionic. Again, dating myself. So we want to record it. So what do you record in a spreadsheet? We also record in a spreadsheet. You use QuickBooks. We use our spreadsheet, and our accountant has a portal, and we upload our receipts to the portal, and then the accountant takes it away. But you have to be able to, what was the song? You got to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yes.
Right? So budgeting on a weekly basis allows you to check yourself before you wreck yourself, because we know the end of the month is coming, and the mission is to avoid having more month than money. Next up, you want to track your budgeting progress. So year after year, you want to see what actual versus budgeted looks like. And are you at what you thought you would budget? If you budgeted $300 a month for entertainment, are you at $300? Or are you at $600? Or are you at $150? Because if you're at $150, you can dial down your budget from 300 to 150 and make 150 the new bar and try to stay within that. We have to see if we can do more with less. And if I can dial back my subscriptions, so I have Google Drive, I've got OneDrive, I've got iTunes, I've got iCloud, I've got Disney Plus, I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Netflix, and my kids probably I got something called Backblaze that backs up my computer, so I don't have to worry about backup anymore. It backs it up to the cloud. If the computer gets stolen or destroyed by water or has a short, the hard drive crashes, I can just back up from the cloud and my machine's back up and running. In my business, that makes sense.
Yes.
But that's another $7 a month or $8 a month that I have to put out because I don't want to take a hard drive to this machine. Because here's the challenge. If I'm traveling and my machine crashes and my hard drive happens to be at home, I might be 500 kilometers from home. I'm done.
Yep.
The customer's in front of me. So I just know I can go to Best Buy and buy a computer, have them put the operating system on it, and I can run that machine within an hour. I'm back up and running, and I'll figure it out when I'm later on.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? We want to know what our monthly income is. That's number one. After taxes and every other deduction, what goes into your account on a monthly basis on average? 2, we want to separate fixed and variable and understand that the fixed expenses we have now, some of those we've chosen to make fixed, like all these subscriptions we have. I know people have subscriptions to cannabis every month and they get deliveries every month.
Wow.
And yeah, because that's what they're doing.
Yep.
And that's fine, right? It's legal, so no judgment.
Yep.
3, you want to pay yourself first. If you're going to pay off your credit cards, pay off the high interest. We talked about that last time we were here. I still want you to save some money for yourself. Still put some money in your RSP if you make enough money to make that make sense. Put some money in your tax-free savings account and have some money ready for an emergency, like a fire truck waiting for a fire. Because if I told people in February 2020 that they would not have any income because they were deemed a non-essential service, 60 days from that day, they're done, shut down by the government, they would say, I would never believe you. Never in 100 years have I seen it. Well, it happened. And people
Welcome to reality.
People who didn't have emergency funds were in dire straits within 2 months of shutting down their industry. So I used to advise my clients 3 months emergency fund. Now I advise them 6 months emergency fund. And if you can get a year, and what I'm talking about for emergency fund is you need to have all your expenses for the month. That's what you need to have saved. So if you have $3,000 in expenses every month, you need $9,000, which is 3 months. If you have 6 months times 3, you need $18,000 in emergency fund. That's 6 months of expenses. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. Good stuff.
We have anybody on the line that wants to?
Yeah, let's just do a little bit of reset that Wayne is here talking about budget, saving, and spending on Financial First Fridays on the Morning Vibe. Have some comments here. Earl says, time to top in. And then Stephen Yu is saying, great tips. Fitnance IQ Cam says, what's your advice on budgeting for a bacchanal?
Yes. Listen, we know bacchanal is going to cost you money. So the question is, the flight's the flight. You can't really negotiate that. They know it's high season. They see you coming. The only thing you can do is book as far in advance as humanly possible and get the proper travel insurance from your friendly neighborhood travel insurance guy to make sure you can cancel and reschedule that trip. And if you get COVID while you're there and it extends beyond when you can leave the island, you'll be covered for that as well. So you want to buy your ticket as far in advance as possible. And 2, are you staying with family? Are you staying in a hotel? Are you staying at Airbnb? Again, there's savings there. Sometimes I found staying with family more expensive than staying at a hotel simply because of all the things I had to buy for them to receive me. They bought groceries because I was coming, right? I had cousins take me around in their taxis around the island, and I had to pay them. It wasn't free. right?
That's right.
So you have to take a look at how are you going to go to Carnival? Are you going to Carnival top shelf, middle of the road, or are you staying with family? What are you doing? And sometimes family might be top end, right? Some of your family might live in very, very good neighborhoods, and you want to stay there rather than a hotel.
This is what I was going to ask earlier, and I wanted to finish your 5. Something makes you resonate saying this. A lot of this budget comes to needs versus wants.
Mm-hmm.
Could you, if I'm on the right track there, could you a little expound on the needs versus wants when it comes to budgeting, saving, and spending?
Sure. Needs are things that if you don't have them, you really can't survive. So you need shelter. Shelter is a need. So whether you have a mortgage or you're paying rent, you need to pay that bill, right? Having a mobile phone is not a need, but I haven't seen a phone booth in about 10 years. So I would have to move mobile phone to necessity. Home phone, I don't think you need it anymore. But some people have a phone number they've had for 50 years and they do not want to give up their phone number. So they've turned the home phone from a variable cost to a fixed cost because they say, I do not want to lose. I've had this phone number since I've been in Canada. I'm going to keep this phone number. So I'm going to add that to my fixed costs. Fine. But you're doing that. You're taking a want and making it a need based on your own personal judgment. What's a want? A want is a pair of Air Jordans that just come out. The Jordan 5 Retro, whatever, $240. I'm not doing it, bro. I'm not doing it. But there's some people out there who say, I've got to have it. And they make that Jordan a need.
Or like people who buy the most recent, like Apple products, the people who line up in line either digitally or physically, that's a need for them, even though really?
Right.
But everyone's different. So I digress.
Yeah, so who's to say what's real and what's assumed in terms of need? Someone who's a Mac head who has to have that new Mac because he's a graphic designer and that's a tool he needs to make his money, maybe it's a need. But honest to God, you need food, you need shelter, you need transportation, and everything beyond that becomes, to me, discretionary. But again, people can justify and rationalize pretty much every expense on their budget, saying, I must have it. Right? One lady said, I budget $80 a month for nails and pedicure, manicure.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I cannot function unless I have a pedicure, manicure for my girl on a Friday before I go into the weekend looking great. She's made it mandatory. Nothing I can say, nothing you can say. Ladies will go spend $150, $200 at the salon every couple of months. Mandatory? She thinks so. So she does it. And her hairdresser is not telling her, don't do it. So I know guys who pay $45 to do what you and I do for free ourselves.
Yep.
Right? $45 because they want to get the straight edge shave. They want to get the hot towel. They want to get the head massage. They want to get the full barbershop experience. $45 plus tip. They've made it mandatory and they do it every week. That's $200. But to them, money well spent, it is a need, not a desire.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Right?
So some comments here. Someone we both know, Kevin from Facebook says facts. That's dear Kevin Messon says facts. So thanks for joining us this morning, Kevin. We always appreciate. So got some comments here. Fitness IQ, because yes, pay yourself. Some questions here from LinkedIn. Earl says, how do you get to understand your own spending habits?
Great question. Yeah, this is where the spreadsheet comes in and the tracking of every receipt, as Dr. Vibe said, he does for himself. Once we're November 4th, so you're only 4 days into November. Look at what you spent between November 4th and now and start updating your spreadsheet. For those of you who DM me, I'll send you my spreadsheet. You can just add what you would need to do to the spreadsheet, take away what's not relevant to you. You don't have a mortgage, change it to rent, right? You're not paying rent, get rid of that as well. Maybe you're just giving your parents a couple $100 because you're living at home. But you need to track it against you. So what did you spend in November? What did you spend in December? What did you spend in January? Now you have a baseline. Are you close to what you, this is just actuals, right? You don't have an idea of what you should be spending. This is just what you are spending. Once you have that, you can say, okay, so my baseline looks like it's about $300 a month for miscellaneous. You're buying a pack of gum, a pack of chips, you're doing this, you're doing that, personal entertainment. And you say, okay, I'm going to budget for $300 because the last 3 months has been $250, $350, $300. I'm going to budget for $300 because it seems to be the average. And once you have your averages, your job is to stay within the average or below and see if you can bring those averages down in the areas that are not, the most important areas of your life. Increase your savings, increase your investment so they can compound for you. Decrease all bad debt that's a part of your budget. That's all credit cards, all lines of credit, all home equity lines of credit, all personal loans that do not generate you money. If you took a loan to buy a food truck and the food truck's generating you money, that's a better loan than a loan for whatever. My father would call it a stereo system at home so you can blow the doors off when you watch Terminator with a big subwoofer. That's not making you money per se.
No,
but if
that's
you
a
take a loan to
depreciating
buy,
asset.
yeah, exactly. So if you take that money to go buy something that's going to earn money, good loan. You take that to buy something that's just going to cost you money to impress people that you don't like with money you don't have. That's status, and that gets a lot of us caught. We don't want to deal with that. So take a baseline of what you're spending, and once you have that baseline of what you're spending, do the average, and that average will be your budget for that item, and then start trying to reduce that number on a monthly basis so you can take more money towards savings and investing for your future. Good question.
Yeah, excellent question.
Go ahead.
No, and as Wayne said, he's more than happy to send some information to put up the various ways you can contact him up on the screen periodically through our conversation. I'm speaking that you will do that. Take advantage of the opportunity as much as possible. Next question we have. Stephen Yu says, what do you recommend, 20, 30, 50 or 30, 30, 40?
Yes. I'm a 50, 30, 20 man. And what that is 3 buckets of expenses. So 50% of your money is going towards living, 30% is going towards fun and entertainment, and 20% is going towards saving, emergency fund, and just rainy day money. So you want to do your fun. Well, listen, if you have set aside money to go see the new Black Panther, and that's part of your 30% bucket, God bless you. I'm not sweating you for spending that 30%. But if you spend 35% to go see Black Panther, you should have a challenge with yourself. You want to stay within your limits. Know your limits, stay within it. I can't remember what that's for. I think that's for alcohol. But know your limits, stay within it. Same thing with a budget. If your living expenses are 50% of everything that's coming in, what can you do? Inspect it. Look at it. Do I need the Spotify account, the gourmet Spotify account? Right? Do I really need it? Do I need some other subscription that you have? Do you really order that much from Amazon that you need Amazon taking $9 a month from you? Can you wait a week?
Yeah.
Do you need it next day? Really? So what are the things that you're considering to be fixed costs that really may not be fixed costs? And inspect it every month. And if you have a partner, inspect it with your partner. Because I know there's a whole bunch of oils and sprays and things that my wife uses on her hair to make it beautiful and soft. And my daughter uses it to make her hair beautiful and soft. And my son uses it to make his hair beautiful and soft. But I have no hair. So the 3 of them are out there spraying and rubbing stuff on themselves every month to make themselves beautiful. And that's fixed for them because the hair will snap right off their head if they don't do it. So I understand why they have to do it. So for them, that's fixed. For me, boy, it's just a little bit of body wash and my shaving equipment. But my shaving tools, the razors I use, the shaving oil, the shaving cream, and the aftershave are mandatory. Why?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, if I do not use these things, it's bare bumps you're seeing on the Dr. Vibe show. It's just one big glasses and bumps. So notice I have no bumps because I
Yep.
use what I'm using, and Vibe does the same thing. So to
Yep.
us, this is mandatory. It's not
Yep.
discretionary.
Yep.
Every person has their formula of what they need to make themselves look the best they can possibly look, and those things to them are mandatory. So no one can tell me give up my shaving cream and go get the Costco cream so I can come out here and be full of bumps. Nah, it's not going to happen. I'm going to use what I use. And shout out to Bevel, Bevel in the United States.
Yes, it was founded by a black gentleman, if I'm not mistaken,
Correct.
and they got bought.
Yes, by Walker and somebody.
Walker, yes.
But this stuff is legit, right? So this I have to pay for shipping. So when I buy in bulk because I'm a Bajan. So if I'm going to pay $29 for one, I'm going to buy 6.
Yeah, because you're going to use them. You're going to use them. Right?
I'm going to use it.
I'm, and it's funny because every time before we go live, Wayne and myself, we always keep up to our shaving. How's our shaving going?
100%.
We always keep on, like the first time before he came on the morning, he asked me like, what do you use? How come you get this so smooth? How come you don't got no bumps? So we're always sharing razor stories. And it's true. Like myself, I can relate. Like if I have a brand of razor that really does me well, and if it goes on sale, I'm buying it because I shave at least once a day, if not twice. So they're going to get used. That is not a want. That's a need. That's a want for me. Sorry. It's a want. So 100%.
Yeah, my wife doesn't get vexed. She sees my drawer on my half. So everybody, you have a vanity in the bathroom. We have 2 sinks, and I have my half, and she has her half. It's like Russia and the United States, a Cold War. If I see her cream on my side, or she sees my shaving stuff on her side, it's war. But because she is a very skilled. Listen, she's a skilled martial artist.
Fitness IQ because needs and wants. The way folks use need rather than want when it comes to items. Roger Dundas says, my father used to say, if you have $100, don't spend 101.
Yes, Mr. Dundas is legit on that comment.
Yes, and says Fitnance says, yes, great advice, Roger. Fitnance also has a question. Which savings account would you say is ideal for an emergency fund?
Good question. So today, unlike back in the day, there are actually savings accounts that pay over 4%. So imagine, again, I understand the rate of inflation is 7.7%, but most banks are paying 0.5 or less in the savings account. 0.5, maybe 1%, maybe a high interest savings account, 1.8%. You can now get over 4% with certain companies, and you can get access to the money anytime you want. So you can save money at 4%, and if you take money out, there's no penalty for taking the money out. Again, contact me if you want to know more about that.
Very interesting.
Okay, so let's talk about the envelopes, right? The envelope method is you have envelopes, and back in the day when people were using cash, I used cash the other day, and the lady was shocked. She handed me the machine. She handed me the machine, and I said,
"I want to pay cash." Worse when you use cash, and they say, "Oh, I've got to go get some money." They don't have enough money until they cover the change.
Exactly. They go cash. I go, yeah, cash, and she was like shocked. So back in the day, people would use envelopes. They put enough money in the envelope for the living expenses, enough for the groceries in one envelope, and another for savings. And once the money in that envelope was done, that was all you could spend. So if you had living expenses beyond that, what was in that envelope, you had to change your lifestyle and reduce it to what was in the envelope. You live within the means of the envelope. To Roger Dundas's father, shout out to Grandpa Dundas, where you don't spend 101. You don't borrow from the other envelope for that one. When the envelope was empty, that was all you're spending for that budgeted item. Okay.
Nice.
The other thing.
Divine Right from the DMV goes, no, not war in the bathroom.
War in the bathroom, guy. Listen, because when I shave, it's a big event, right? I got enough things I gotta do. I need elbow room, right? So it's war in the bathroom. Right.
So Fitness IQ says, yes, Manny and Petty is way too expensive. Oh yeah, well. Hey, I'd be interested to know what you pay for a mani and pedi, and Wayne and might say, so well, this is how much we spend to take care of our head a year. Well, probably covers one or two of your mani and pedi.
Easy. And listen, mani pedi is $80 plus tip.
Wow.
Right? With somebody who's usually not from your community and wouldn't donate to your community should you request them to do so. Right? So you might want to consider where you get your mani pedis from. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a skill that certain cultures have mastered and dominate the market, and that's fine for them. Again, you have to ask yourself, if the roles were reversed, would they come to your establishment and do a mani pedi with you? And if the answer is yes, carry on, continue. If the answer is no, you might want to consider a redirection of your spend.
Of your buying power.
Exactly. We want to talk about zero-based budgeting. So
yes,
zero-based budgeting basically means that you're going to spend your way to having no money at the end of the month, and the month is going to turn over. Some months are 28 days, some are 30, some are 31. But at the end of that month, everything you were supposed to spend, you have spent, including putting money into your savings. So you're at zero. Then at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, I prefer you do it at the end of every 3 months, take a look at what you're spending money on. Can you go to No Frills rather than Whole Foods and get some things? Does it make sense from a gas and time perspective to go to Costco gas, which is always many pennies below what regular gas is? But do you want to wait in that line for an hour or 45 minutes to get gas at 6 cents cheaper? What else can you do? Can you get cash back on your credit card? Do you have the right credit card? Can you ask your company to reduce the rate on the credit card so you pay less per month? Can you find a zero credit card and transfer the balance so you're not paying interest on all the credit cards and pay this one company that has zero credit, zero interest for 9 months and hammer down your bills because you're paying the principal, not just interest? Many things you can do to get that done. So
I just want to interrupt again. This is why if you're needing clarity and answers on these questions, this is why you get in contact with Wayne. Again, his contact information is on the screen. Just a little catch up here. Divine Right says, that's how I am with my hair. I just can't use any old hair products. So it's in the budget as a must have. And when the sale goes down, I'm buying more than one bottle jar just to save money. And then Stanley Paul goes, too much common sense. LOL.
Shout out to the 613 and Stanley. Right? So, I mean, honest to God, what you have to do is figure out which budgeting platform works for you. Does a spreadsheet work for you? Does the envelope work for you? Does QuickBooks work for you? What works for you? And once you have it, stick with it and monitor it. Listen, it took me a few years when I first got one of my better cars. As you know, the official car of the black man in the 80s was a Nissan Maxima. The official car of the black man. So I had a Nissan Maxima, and that Nissan Maxima took premium gas.
Wow.
And all of it. So when someone said to me, he said, listen, you don't have to fill it with premium. It says premium preferred, not premium mandatory. I went, what? He goes, premium preferred. The engine will adjust itself, lower the amount of kilometers you'll get per tank, but you don't have to put premium. You can get away with mid-grade. What? And that saved me money. So I was a mid-grade king with my Maxima, especially since it was a lease. Why am I spending premium gas on a lease? I'm going to hand the car back, right? Yep. So that as a Bajan, I do not have any cars that take anything other than regular gas. 87 octane. If it doesn't take 87 octane, I do not want it. Because when gas is up to $2 a liter, my truck is diesel. And when I bought it, diesel was 99 cents a liter. And now diesel is $2.42 a liter.
Wow.
It's a 100-liter tank.
Wow.
Let's do some quick, as they say, let's do some quick maths. Yeah, it's no joke. Right? Now, thank goodness I can write it off. But what about the people who can't? Yeah. That, I think the technical term is getting juked down by gas prices. I think that's a technical term. So What are some of the things that can trip you up? You know, I think about people who, you see that coat. It's a Canada Goose. You know the coat's worth $900. The coat's $400. You got to do it. It's Canada Goose. That coat's going to last you 10 years. You're not growing. At least those of you who are on here should be, plus or minus 10 pounds 10 years from now. You're not growing. If I can see a Canada Goose and it's legit Canada Goose and it's $400 rather than $900 it's worth, and it's my size, it's a done deal. It may go in my closet and I may not wear it for 5 years, but it's a done deal because of the quality of the product, right? Emergencies. People didn't think about today. You think about all those kid places, the trampoline place, the ball pit, all these little places. They're all packed today. All packed today because all the parents are like, listen, bro, I've got a Zoom call I have to be on to pay these bills. And little Johnny, you're cute and all that, but I can't sit with you for 8 hours. I've got stuff to do. So I'm going to throw you in the ball pit, and I can work on my laptop with my headphones on while I watch you not kill yourself, but you're having a good time, right? So parents have to think about these contingencies for themselves. And that's really it. Budgeting is one of those things where you can't be the ostrich in the middle of the savannah and see the lion and put your head in the dirt. You're still going to get eaten. So putting your head in the dirt and not understanding what's going on with your money as it comes in and comes out is kind of how a lot of people live their life. They live their life reactionary. They go, it happened. I had the money. I don't have the money. Can you help me out? And people are, begging you for money to get over every month. We do not want more month than money. We want more money than month, and we have to inspect every expense. And this is why I implore you, unless you're going to places where cash is not accepted, right? Some places don't want cash. They said, I don't want cash. I implore you to do everything by card. I implore you to do everything by credit card. Why? People say, Wayne, why won't I use my debit card? Because if your debit card gets hacked, and I've been in cybersecurity for 25 years, if your debit card gets hacked, the recourse for the debit card to get that money back on the card is a much more difficult process than the recourse on a credit card. You got to do a bunch of paperwork and prove a lot of things with that debit card to get that money back on your account. But on a credit card, the money's back 24 hours. They say, yeah, we got you. It's fraud. Here's your new card. Get rid of the old card. Business as usual with the credit card. And every time you use a credit card, you improve your credit as long as you pay that sucker off to zero every month. So you're building points. So if you want to travel to Bacchanal, get a card that's going to give you points so you can get to Bacchanal on points. Right? Get a card that when you fill up with gas gives you more money for gas. And get a card that when you fill up for groceries gives you money back for groceries, and use the appropriate card in the appropriate situation. But use your credit cards, because your credit cards are going to improve your credit and get you the extra benefits of cash back, free travel, free stuff. So if you want that Sonos system for your kitchen to impress your friends, you can get enough points, and the points will pay for it because of the credit cards that you're using for your budgeted items. And because you budgeted, you have the cash at the end of the month to pay the cards off, but you're using the cards to get the advantages and the benefits of the cards without incurring the interest costs. That's the move.
There you go. Bringing the heat, laying it down. Teddy Evans goes, yes, better yet, use cards with cash back.
100%.
Stanley Paul says, I really hope that everyone understands the nuggets that are being stated. And Teddy Evans goes, great advice, my brother.
He's a good man. King Ted, holding it down in B-Town.
All right. King Ted. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Wayne, again, thank you for, as always, dropping the knowledge bombs to the family here. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. God bless Angie in the bathroom. And Earl says, you got to level up that lifestyle. Stack it. There you go.
Facts.
Earl Anderson. Good stuff. And as always, thank you for everything you have, are, and will be doing for all of us. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And any final words you'd like to share with the family?
Yes. Again, thanks for the opportunity, Dr. Vibe.
Always.
I look forward to my first Financial Fridays every month, and I think about my subjects because I want our people to say they know. I don't want anybody saying they don't know, and they can't say they don't know because these are being recorded. They're going to be here forever,
Yes,
and
right.
the information is there. Again, for anybody on here, if they want a free, no obligation financial needs analysis where I look at their cash flow, I look at what they have from a protection point of view, I look at their debt, I look at what they have already invested and how it's doing, I look at how they can preserve it against taxes and inflation. My contact information is on the screen. Reach out. It takes about an hour to go through it. But if you aren't achieving what you want to achieve and you want to be in position to do so, my financial analysis at least is going to give you the tail of the tape. This is where you are right now. Here are my recommendations to get you to the next level. If you want to take them, great. If you do not want to take them with me, great, but you can't say you don't know.
Well, I think, and what Wayne is saying is really relevant because either most economists are saying we're either in a recession or a recession is coming.
Facts.
Right? So preparation. Make an investment. Not every investment is money. The best investments is time.
And knowledge.
And knowledge, and you can't buy time back. Right? Time, as what I say, time never lost a fight.
Correct. Time is undefeated, like Floyd Mayweather.
Absolutely. And I was on a call last night with a gentleman he was ex-incarcerated for many, many years. He has quite the story because this is going way back. When he was 15 years old, he was making $1 million a year.
Okay.
And he said a number of things, but he said, if you think the cost of education is high, the cost of ignorance is higher.
I agree. I've heard that as well, and never have truer words been said. Again, we're not here to break people's heads. We're here to give them basic fundamentals. The fundamentals done over and over is what makes you a champion, right? So rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, but Kobe Bryant was a master of the fundamentals. So when he got into the game situations, it was second nature. Budgeting is a fundamental. Understanding your credit is a fundamental. Understanding how to protect yourself is a fundamental. Now we're going to talk about investing next time we get together.
Excellent. So Ted says smiles. Stanley, I know you got it wrong, but you corrected. Thanks, Doctor. Well, it wasn't me putting out the knowledge. It's that gentleman putting out the knowledge. And Divine Right says this was beyond helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great.
Fantastic, my man. Be well. We will be in touch online, and always all the best to you and the family, and give yourself grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, Dr. Vibe.
Right back at you. Be well. All right, family. And there is Wayne's contact information. And yes, another epic conversation today. And again, reach out to Wayne. I don't think you're going to be worse off. And if you are, come back to me and get mad at me. Don't get mad at him. All right. But definitely it's all good. So before we take off, I'd like to say thanks for everyone watching live and on the replay today. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. And I appreciate all that was said today. Actually, there's a comment here from Leslie from Ottawa that may be a form of self-care for some men. Sorry I brought that up. Now I don't know when that was said, so my apologies if I came in late with a comment, Leslie. But also just want to make sure, again, next week, just want to tell you from now, the Morning Vibe next Monday, next Friday, we'll be speaking with some of the restaurants participating in Buy Black's Restaurant Week 2022 Fall Edition. I was actually blessed enough to be the host of a panel discussion to kick it off a few weeks ago, so you'll definitely get better from that. Also, that is the link if you want to find out more information about Buy Black's Restaurant Week. So next week, next Monday and Friday, it's all about the food game. It's all about the food game. So get ready. So if you want to find out more information about me, it's at the website, the drvibeshow.com, email dr@the drvibeshow.com, YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter @drvibeshow, and Instagram, at the DRVIBESHOW. So let's see, got maybe another comment come in before we jump off. And Fitnance IQ Cam says, happy Financial Literacy Month as well, gentlemen. Very welcome. Appreciate that big time, Fitnance. And that is it. So coming up, a few things. If you want to promote your business or service on the show, please contact me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, wherever you are watching this, please subscribe so you get notified for all the epic conversations like we're having next week about Buy Black's Restaurant Week Fall Edition. So let's finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Have a fantastic weekend. Two other quick things. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., you can catch me on State of Things with Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones and Laura Lala Key. They're in the United States. They're going to be talking a lot about the upcoming midterm elections that are in America on Tuesday. And even though you may not be in America, they are going to have an impact on you, whether you like it or not. So please, please, please pay attention. And then Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. on Black Canada Talking, I have David Griffiths, who is the CEO of Black Men Who Care, or I think the name of the organization is Black Men Who Care, an organization based in Toronto about caring about Black men. So subscribe and you'll be notified of all those conversations. God bless, peace be well, keep the faith, and walk good.